story of Chubby Avoirdupois. Chubby started out in life as a chubby little fellow with a hearty appetite. As he grew, so did his food needs. But that was all right. He was growing, especially lengthwise. As a matter of fact, Chubby was quite an athlete in his high school days, in track, in football, and at the school prom. And he was the most popular lifeguard on the beach, always ready to rescue a damsel in distress. And as his reward, she married him, and they lived happily for a while. Mrs. Chubby was a good cook and fed him well, perhaps too well. Chubby started growing again, this time sideways. And the same thing happened to slim, attractive Mrs. Chubby. And the more they ate, the bigger they got. And the bigger they got, the more they ate. Chubby didn't notice it at first until his suits began to shrink. And Mrs. Chubby found that they were making dresses in much smaller sizes than they used to. And the doors on automobiles were getting smaller. And something always seemed to be wrong with the scales. Remembering how they used to look, Chubby and his wife decided to try to reduce. But how? Chubby tried exercise, which was kind of dangerous in his condition, and what Chubby didn't know was that actually he'd have to run 36 miles to take off a single pound of fat. Mrs. Chubby tried massage, but that didn't seem to work either. They tried fancy fads and cure-alls, and learned that they're apt to be a bit dangerous. And so Chubby and his wife decide on the sensible thing to do. They visit their family doctor. Only a physician is qualified to decide how much weight one should lose and over what period of time. And for Mrs. Chubby, as for most people, what they weighed at 25 to 30 is about what they should weigh the rest of their lives. As Chubby's doctor knows, there's a close relation between overweight and health. The longer the belt line, the shorter the lifeline. Overweight people are more apt to develop such diseases as diabetes and heart trouble and die younger than those whose weight is normal. And as for Chubby's waistline, the trouble is he eats too much. The human body is a machine which uses food for fuel. When you eat just enough food to supply the energy you need, your weight stays the same. But when you eat more than you burn up in energy, the rest is stored as fat. Energy is measured in calories. But if you reduce the number of calories, the body is called on to use up its stored fat, and you take off weight. But simply starving yourself won't do it. You must have essential foods, rich in proteins, vitamins, and minerals, for building, renewing, and repairing the human machine. That's why the doctor gives you a balanced diet. Not too many calories, but all the foods you need. He will tell you what you should eat, but you've got to work at it. Getting together with a group of other overweight people helps. The diet didn't look so bad at that. There were lots of things that Chubby and his wife liked to eat. Lean meats and fish and chicken and vegetables and fruits and milk and enriched or whole grain bread and eggs. Well, this looks easy, almost too easy, especially with a device Chubby invented in his spare time. Chubby watched his calorie counter and passed up the high-calorie foods and picked the things called for on his diet, nourishing but not fattening. Now there's a nice, sensible meal, a slice of lean meat, a baked potato with a pat of butter, salad, a glass of milk, and strawberries. Uh-oh, what's this? Yes, when you have gravy, you find those old devil's hidden calories. Chubby's getting in trouble again. He's ignoring the hidden calories in those extras you add to your diet.
Have some more butter. Oh, make it 3. Just a couple of spoons.
Mrs. Chubby is finishing a light lunch with ice cream, which is all right. But
Have a little chocolate syrup. You deserve it. That whipped cream looks delicious. That's it. Shoot the works. Wait till she gets on those scales.
both Chubby and Mrs. Chubby find they can fool themselves, but not the scales. And they take a pledge to stick to their diet. It wasn't quick or easy. It took willpower and determination to resist temptation and develop and stick to a new set of eating habits. Chubby found one exercise that helped. That was shaking his head as second helpings. And the best exercise of all, pushing oneself away from the table. In time, the results began to show. They looked better and felt better. They'd reduced. They stuck to their diet and stayed reduced. It wasn't too easy, but it was worthwhile. Many a time they realized it would have been much smarter never to have gotten fat in the first place. Their old friend the scale was happy too. The only buttons Chubby ever pops anymore are those of pride. And as for Mrs. Chubby, once again, she was the belle of the ball.
I give up. Let's look for another victim. There's somebody.